This is the South Park out there that wants to keep on pretending that they are such great, brilliant satirists, and their fans that want to keep lying about how they mock everybody equally, when they just went and did an episode that is screaming at what everybody that watches that Daily Show too much wants to hear about Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes and Christy Nome and all of that, as well as an equally shallow, equally one-note, equally unfunny little J.D. Vance swipe to add on to the recycling of the Saddam Hussein Satan gig bit they did from the movie. Yes, and well, the best way to go and respond to people like this, to respond to them, is to do, well, the thing that they do not expect. But this is the kind of thinking where when you look at the opposite end of it and you see how you've got J.D. Vance and you've got Charlie Kirk responding to these direct insults aimed at them, and they are responding to it with actual positivity, like say Charlie Kirk tweeting that, oh, well, I know I've made it. And then you've got also the likes of J.D. Vance also tweeting something very similar with the transparently unfunny little gag out there. But then again, remember, when you're dealing with the theater kid types like Matt and Trey, you're dealing with people that are the epitome of snowflakes. People like Matt and Trey, whom, yeah, both of them, middle-class white boys from Colorado, suburban Colorado. Yeah, of course, neither one of these guys have ever faced any real adversity or been through any real trauma or strife. And then you take a good long look at J.D. Vance, the guy who, well, read the memoir of his upbringing, Hillbilly Elegy, or even watch the Ron Howard directed film. And you see, oh no, this was a guy who truly came from squalor, who truly came from nothing, and built himself all the way up to being the second most powerful man in the free world. All of those things that Matt and Trey absolutely positively cannot relate to. And because somebody like that wound up being on the wrong side of the political aisle and succeeding in that, they got to go and lash out like children, because don't they know how precious and important they are? Because they're South Park, they're supposed to only be whatever it is that they say is supposed to be the truth. Well, that's because they're going for acceptable targets, okay? Somebody who, if they insult them, the worst thing they might get out of that is a public insult or an angry letter aimed at them, like what they got from Sean Penn. But when you take away that reaction from them, like say J.D. Vance and Charlie Cook and even Snooki back in the day, how all did to Matt and Trey, of not going and jumping down their throat and screaming about them or anything like that. No, yes, go and look. You can find the footage on TMZ.com of when they did their little Jersey Shore parody and they made Snooki out to be some kind of weird monster. And Snooki's response to when some TMZ reporters called her was to say, oh yeah, congratulations, and to say, oh yeah, that was great. Safe, edgy, thy name is South Park. In case you're wondering why they never harmed a hair on Joe Biden's head, why they never harmed a hair on Barack Obama's head. And I'd like to remind you all that when it comes to this, their excuse was that people like Obama and Biden, they don't give us any material. When anybody with a brain that isn't totally under the control of Comedy Central is able to look at South Park and say, oh, wait, they'll suddenly go mums the word about politics and bashing the president or anything like that when it comes to, say, in the early years of the show, and they only ever would mention Bill Clinton in passing or betray Bill Clinton in no way that ridiculed him at all. And then you have Bush, and for the people always bring up the same quote about them saying how they didn't want to bash Bush and Team America because there's so much anti-Bush sentiment. Yeah, like they really portrayed Bush as anything other than an idiot just because they didn't jump into as much Bush bashing as the Daily Show. That makes them better. No, it isn't. And then guess what? The 5 agonizingly unfunny, repetitive years of Mr. Garrison as Trump, they went on there and jammed that down everybody's throats absolutely positively all the time. After years of never, ever doing anything about Barack Obama that wasn't absolutely positive towards him. And, well, Joe Biden not even existing in their little universe. But I'd also like to remind you of another thing. The Stephen Colbert-produced show Our Cartoon President spent more time making fun of Barack Obama and both of the Clintons and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and AOC and Stephen Colbert himself and Wolf Blitzer and even Rachel Maddow And how many of those people, how much of that bashing towards them that you have compared to South Park? South Park, that's been on the air for almost 30 years, versus our cartoon president that lasted, what, 3 seasons? And then because of the pandemic, they had to just fart out whatever episodes were remaining of animation they had completed. And yet that show on post 2016 Showtime, that was produced by Stephen Colbert, that had Stephen Colbert also voicing characters on the show, somehow put more time in mocking these figures on the left than South Park, who keep on getting excused as being even-handed with who they make fun of. Well, then in that case, you can also go and get up in their face by either taking away the anger that they want you to perform for them by saying how much, oh, it means you've made it, or how much you like it, knowing that it's going to make them cope and seethe. Or the other one is, well, yeah, great job and all those making fun of all these people on the internet, all these right-wing commentators that you think don't know anything. Well, then I'll be waiting for you to go and then do an episode that equally mocks the likes of Hassan Piker or Vosh, which will be coming. Oh yeah, that'll be coming the 10th of Never.